Hello, and welcome to A Talk With. I'm your host, Billy Stern. Today, we will be covering some of the biggest stories from around town, including a 42-foot humpback whale that washed ashore at Ditch Plains, a major transition in a beloved local nonprofit, an 18-year-old entrepreneur making an impact, and an update on the July 4th fireworks. First, let's start with the whale. I spoke to Sarah Cowan, manager of animal rescue at Mystic Aquarium, about the cleanup of the humpback at Ditch Plains. Why did the whale beach where it did, and what caused it to pass away?
So that particular whale, whales that pass away at sea, will get washed up due to currents, different weather conditions. So sometimes we'll try to work on a drift analysis with National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration or in the Coast Guard. And they will take into account things like tides and the wind and different weather to try to predict where an animal may wash up. Since the animal washed up on Long Island, the primary responding organization, Atlantic Marine Conservation Society, leads the necropsy exam. And then we are very close partners here at Mystic Aquarium with Atlantic Marine Conservation Society, and we'll go there and help them out with necropsies, and they'll come to Mystic or Rhode Island or wherever. But it's so critical to conduct these necropsies to try to find out the cause of death for this animal and essentially be a voice for them and just help, educate the public on why these animals are dying and what we can do to help protect them better.
Did the whale washing up have any immediate impact on the local ecosystem?
So that particular whale, there were some signs externally of sharks predating on that animal at some point. They weren't actively predating on the whale when we were there conducting the necropsy, but at some point they did. So, and that's something that we'll see if an animal does initially, pass away farther out at sea. Sharks will predate on them, and that's another reason why it's important for us to conduct a necropsy and remove them from the water. We had one wash up in Block Island right after the day after that.
Ah, yeah.
So we did the same thing because people often ask, why don't you tow it back out to sea? And I can say in situations where it's not safe to conduct a necropsy, we have tried that once and it washed right back up in a different spot that was actually a worse location. So typically it's a lot of effort for an animal and a carcass to wash right back up on shore. If we tow it out to sea, we cannot conduct a necropsy. And we want to be able to conduct the necropsy to answer questions about why these animals are dying and the threats that they're facing. And we're obviously not able to do that if we tow it back out to sea. So in both cases, it seems like sharks did get a meal out of it, and we were able to conduct our exam on them as well.
Mhm. And what was the exact reason for the whale dying?
So with Atlantic Marine Conservation Society, they led that necropsy. And I can't speak to the preliminary results. I want to leave that up for them, but I can just say that the majority of the cases that we see in Connecticut, Rhode Island area are vessel strike cases or entanglements. And we do see infectious disease in some of these animals as well. But primarily for humpback whales as that species, we primarily see vessel strike cases and take tissue samples that we send to a pathologist. And they're going to be able to analyze those tissue samples on a cellular level and be able to tell us, all sorts of details that we can use to create, our overall suspect cause of death for that animal. But we don't do that until we really get those pathology results back.
How did the cleaning process go? Was that very typical for a whale that size?
This was a first for me to see this sand bridge being built. I've never had that, and I think that especially when you go work with other organizations, you don't know how things operate within their town, but what Atlantic Marine Conservation Society did, which is what we do throughout the network, is create something called an incident action plan. And so they had that completed the night before, and they send to everyone who works for the town, all the different people who are involved in the necropsy. So when we showed up there the next day, everyone knew their roles and the town was wonderful to work with. I was so impressed. I think we got there around like 11 or 12 that day, and the sand bridge was already complete, and they were towing the whale up. I wasn't sure how that was going to work, and we were able to dispose of the whale. The town took the whale. Parts that we had finished necropsying, and so I believe it's going to a landfill or getting incinerated. I'm not sure the exact details, but typically in our area we will try to bury a carcass, and they decompose really quickly in the sand. Lots of little critters in the sand will eat the rest of it, and that way it eliminates the animal attracting, sharks or anything like that close to the shoreline.
I just want to talk about the potential threat of this happening in the future. Is that a legitimate concern?
But we have seen an increase in whale stranding since 2016, and there's unusual mortality events declared for 3 whale species that we see commonly along our shorelines here, and that's the North Atlantic right whale, the minke whale, and the humpback whale. And so we are, like I said, we're seeing things like vessel strikes, and you think about how many people are on the water and how many animals are now feeding around here at the surface, and the water temperatures are changing at pretty alarming rates. We're seeing a lot more fish in the area that are here at different times of year, maybe earlier than they used to be or whatnot. And so that's drawing all these predator species like whales closer to shore, closer to the surface at times. And so that just makes them more susceptible to these human interactions. So I think that that's why these necropsies are so important, because we can absolutely see strandings like this again. And it's really important that we find out as much information as we can to try to determine a cause of death and help educate the public.
I'm excited to tell you about one of our sponsors. It's a new book called Austin, Hillary, and the Ghosts of Gotham. It's really fun. Part mystery, part adventure, part fantasy, like the perfect summer book. Plus, it is all this great stuff about real New York City places you've probably never heard of, like Track 61 and the Cloud Club. The audiobook just launched, but it's also available in paperback. The author lives in New York City, but is an avid fisherman and spends a lot of time in Montauk. This is a direct quote from the author. I wrote this book in part to inspire young people like my kids to read more. When I heard about the Ditch Weekly, I knew I wanted to support it. That's why I'm giving away 5 copies of my book to Ditch fans. So there you go. The first 5 people that DM us on Instagram will be sent a free book. The book's available at Amazon, Apple Books, BarnesandNoble.com, Audible, or camartella.com. Thank you, Chip, for your support. What was a walk on water is now Flow Montauk on the East End. We went to their fundraising event to learn about the transition.
What has been the differences so far working with a walk on water versus Flow Montauk?
Well, it's still the start of summer, so we haven't done so much yet. But one thing about AWOW was that they were really just into the surfing aspect of it. But with Flow, we're like expanding into other things. So this whole winter, we've been going to the pool at the club, at the playhouse, and just swimming with the kids and doing stuff there. So it's been a difference so far.
What are your guys' roles at Flow Montauk?
We're on the peer advisory board, so we just help talk things over and plan events such as this.
So this fundraiser today, what exactly are we raising money for?
Raising money for the Flow organization,
Just to be able to
fund, what we do in Montauk this summer and the years to come.
That's awesome, yeah. And what is your favorite thing about working with neurodivergent kids?
definitely being able to see them grow and improve in surfing and just overall
In life in general.
life. Yeah.
My name is Bob Miller. A lot of people call me Coach Bob. I'm not Mr. Miller to these kids, and Bob was too informal at school. And the reality is, I am a phys ed teacher, right? Like I have a master's in special ed, but I also have a license to teach physical education to kids K through 12. So the physical education I teach or have taught for 30 years is swimming. And some of these kids here I've taught when they were in diapers. And now they're like 25 years old. So again, 25 years of what we've created here. What flow is the growth from a walk on water. What a walk on water is the growth from surfers healing, right? What started out as strictly kids for autism went to kids with autism, Down syndrome, CP, and their family members with AWOW. And now flow is about independence. letting Shane catch waves on his own.
Yeah.
Letting him learn to swim so that he can take that life jacket off and feel confident and strong. And that's what Flow stands for. And I guess the guy who actually founded Flow helped found A Walk on Water. He helped found Surfers Healing and has been with this all along. So I'm privileged and I'm grateful that this is the path of growth.
What would you say is the biggest differences between what was A Walk on Water and what will be Flow in the coming future?
So right off the bat, the first thing Flow supported for us was a sailing experience that was inclusive, right? And we went sailing. I invited a friend of mine from South Africa who I met in an international organization that we're part of, and he runs inclusive sailing programs. I think every Monday afternoon, they're gonna run an inclusive sailing program because we did that. And to be honest, that's something A Walk on Water didn't wanna do. The big difference is we're gonna let our kids take off their life jackets when they can. You know what I mean? Shane dives off the swimming block with the swim team at the high school, right? The kid swims on the swim team at the high school, dives off the blocks, does flip turns, and my favorite, he swims butterfly.
Wow.
I can't make that kid wear a life
I can't
jacket
even
when it's
swim
knee
butterfly.
high. Yeah, butterfly's tough, right?
So, yeah.
It's not just surfing, it's swimming, it's sailing, it's music, it's fishing, it's ocean conservation. Like ocean conservation, if we can't surf if the ocean's not clean, right? Like there's so much to it to share with not just our athletes, but with you and with me, because there's a lot I get to learn too. And to share that learning and that growth with you kids and all these proms for all these years, I'm thankful and grateful that this is what I get to do in my life.
Yeah. That's really awesome.
I started surfing when I was 9 years old. I love surfing. I love surfing with James, Chloe, and Scott. Surfing makes me feel strong and great. My favorite thing about surfing is going to Tauk. Thank you to Bob, Scott, and Mom and Heather. Hope to report our community and my community tonight by donating. Let's go surf doors!
What's your name?
Shane Harston.
And what is your favorite thing about Flow Montauk?
I like surfing, really fun.
On the water, Shay.
Yeah.
Like surfing standing up.
Yeah, you
Where's your favorite place to surf?
My favorite place is Montauk in Scotland.
Scotland, yeah. So Shane, you've worked with Bob over the past few years. What is your favorite thing about working with Bob?
Bob watched do power in the lineup.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. All right, thank you so much. Here, bring it in.
Next, I spoke to 18-year-old Carly Fromm, a new graduate of East Hampton High School, about starting a business in Montauk. What got you into cosmetology, and how has BOCES developed your experience and understanding of the practice?
So I've always done like hair when I was little, and I've always been into it. And my mom was like, you should just go for it. And so I was like, you know what? I'm really looking into it. And it was sophomore year where I told my counselor where I really want to do BOCES, and it was just a great experience that I had there, and it's so great that I could start at a young age and fully have my license now as I graduated.
Would you recommend that other people do BOCES and follow along a similar path?
Yes, I definitely would recommend BOCES to a lot more people, and it definitely has benefited me throughout high school and meeting new people, new friends, and yeah, it's a great experience.
What's the name of this salon that we're in that you're opening up shortly?
So this is called MTK Beauty, and I have my space in the back here, and this whole store is called Aura Beauty.
And when are you fully opening up?
This week I'm going to open up fully.
As an 18-year-old entrepreneur, what has been some of the challenges that you faced opening your own salon in Montauk?
So the challenges are like clientele, getting people in, you know, you have to put yourself out there, and it's very difficult, but also it's a great experience, you know.
Has it been easy to build a large number of clientele, and how have you been able to keep them?
So putting yourself out there on social media really does get you a lot, but also locals out here, you know, helping you out, and especially from last year, I would do a little bit of hair in here, and on the East End, I would do weddings, so a lot of people have reached out to me here too.
And what are the types of things that you do in the salon?
So this is just a blow dry bar. I'm going to do cuts, blowouts, and styling.
And how much do you charge for cuts?
So for cuts, for women's is $75, and then for kids it would be $45.
So you graduated high school yesterday. What are your plans for the future?
So I'm going to be finishing this out, this salon. Hopefully, you know, I'll have a good start this year. And then in the winter time, I'm going to be going to the city and getting more education in different things. You know, I can get different licensing and different things and see what I'm more comfortable with. And there's so much to learn in this industry.
I spoke to East Hampton Town Public Information Officers Patrick Durns and Kim Shaw about the threat of the July 4th fireworks being canceled.
And we have never had plovers in Montauk. But when the U.S. Army Corps came in and put all that clean fill, like 500,000 cubic yards of clean fill, I think it created prime habitat for the birds.
Yeah.
And that's why we saw that anomaly, that pair that was there. So they were at Umbrella Beach. We had routinely, like, we go out, birds start showing up in April, they start nesting, and then the pair, once they have a full clutch, which is 4 eggs, they fledge within 28 days. All the birds are usually out of here in August. What happens if the first nest fails, they'll sometimes re-nest and keep trying until they have a clutch. But in Montauk, they found the birds the day of. So they had already put the fencing around the site, and the fire marshal was out there. His daughter worked for me for years, and he knew the sound.
You don't anticipate this happening at all this year?
So we do have a pair of birds in Montauk, but they're, let's see, west of Gurney's. So the federal guidelines is you cannot have a fireworks show within 3/4 of a mile of a designated plover nest. So as part of our daily monitoring, we do GPS coordinates, we map it, and then we draw, you know, arcs, like where the nests are. We start a timeline when they're going to hatch and all that stuff. So we have been doing this for 15 years, so we know historically the birds come back. So Montauk was an anomaly. This year, it's going to be out at Gin, and we have occasionally had birds on the state property. So the barge is going to be out in the water, and that way you can meet that setback. So I believe the state has birds there, but they're able to meet the federal guidelines for setbacks.
Is there any difference in the fireworks show at all? Do you know? I know you said it's put on by the Chamber of Commerce, but I don't know if there's any changes to the fireworks show or just the 4th of July in East Hampton in general.
I helped write a letter to U.S. Fish and Wildlife for an amendment or a modification of the 3/4 mile. So they're allowing the show to occur within a half a mile, provided there's multiple bird monitors on site, that the site is fenced off, that no beach vehicles, that the decibel of the fireworks show is reduced, and that cameras are also in place on the nest, making sure that the birds aren't scared off the site.